Today, I'm going to navigate screens and how our bodies experience watching things on a screen, which is pretty fitting since we're on YouTube. Let's dive in. This is such an important topic, one that I want to start talking about much more because in trauma healing and trauma fields and psychology and somatics, we tend to really focus on experiences we have rather than what we witness. And what I find fascinating about our current age, our current time, technologically speaking, is we have access to more experiences that other people are going through than we ever had before. So these bodies, in my opinion, have not caught up to the amount of information they can get on a daily basis. You can watch hundreds, if not thousands, of experiences that people are going through around the world each and every week. And that does something to the body, which I'm going to explain. Our bodies have something called trauma responses or stress responses. There are four main trauma responses. They are fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Fight or flight is when your body realizes it can either take on an attacker or experience or run away from it. So if someone's coming at me and my body assesses the person and says you can fight them and probably win, I might go into a fight response. If my body assesses, well, I can't really fight off this person, the best thing I can do is run, and there's a way to get out, I'm going to run away. But there's this third response that comes in. It's called freeze. Freeze is when your body can fight and it can't flight. Freeze is something that happens in response to what we call inescapable attack. Inescapable attack is just like it sounds. Something threatening is happening. Some attack or potential threat to your life is taking place, and you cannot escape it. There is nothing you can do about it. Now, what's interesting in real life when this is happening, let's say I'm pinned up against a wall and somebody has a weapon. I'm going to freeze, which means parts of me start shutting down. I might lose the agency in my legs to run or kick. I might literally lose my voice, my ability to scream, help, or say no. My arms, which might have wanted to push the person off me, are suddenly immobile and tight and rigid. There's a couple reasons the body does this. One reason is the body is getting very rigid and curling inwards to protect the visceral organs. When you can't fight or flight, your best bet is to protect yourself. The other reason is when you become immobile, you have a better chance of not aggravating your predator or the person attacking you. When someone's in a state of attacking you, they're already highly activated and adrenalized and usually out of their mind. So any additional attempt to attack or aggravate them is going to make them more violent. So your body's freeze response is actually a very sophisticated, intelligent way to calm the other body. And freeze can turn into collapse, which when we see an animal do it, we call it playing dead. When an animal plays dead, they appear to be limp, they appear to be lifeless, they appear to be helpless, essentially. And the predator is feeling this limp body and realizing, well, there's nothing else to fight. The chase is over. And in that moment, the predator's body starts to settle and they come out of their fight response. When their guard is down, this is when we can get away. This is exactly what animals do in nature. Now, this is important to understand because this is something our bodies do. This is ancient. This is what most mammals will do when they're having an inescapable attack and an experience where they can't fight or flight. So what does that have to do with screens? When I'm watching someone else's horror, when I'm watching injustice, when I'm watching a movie even based on something, not even real life, my body is actually experiencing an inescapable attack because I'm oriented to the screen. I'm seeing the pain and the horror and the abuse, the attack happening on the screen. My body's feeling that charge. It's feeling lit up and even adrenalized in response to it because of somatic empathy. Our bodies feel what it is we see. The issue is when we're watching video after video after video, we start to forget that we're not in the video. We start to lose where we are in real life. I suddenly won't feel the chair I'm sitting in. I won't smell the smell of rain and dead leaves that I'm smelling in the forest here during fall. I might not even feel the weight of my chain, my necklace on my chest, and my vest over my shirt. I won't feel where I am. I'll lose this reality for the one I'm looking at on the screen. This is important because when I'm oriented toward the screen, and the screen in this case is delivering horror and pain and overwhelm, my body's going to go into a freeze and then a collapse. Because what? Inescapable attack. There's nothing I can do about it. This happens when we watch war coverage, when we watch any coverage of violence, when you watch car accidents, when you hear about horrible things happening in the world on the news, when you're reading somebody's opinions on social media that aggravate you. There's nothing you can do about it in the moment because you're not directly in relationship to the environment that's being broadcast to you. It's a very strange somatic form of being out of time and out of space of where you are. And this is why the body starts to get confused. People who spend a lot of time binge watching videos that tend to cover really painful experiences or actual footage of attacks or violence, and those same people aren't pendulating into where they are and taking breaks to feel their reality. These people are usually going to emerge in a state of freeze, in a state of shutdown, in a state of overwhelm and dissociation, and that helps nobody. I have developed a 4-week self-paced course that takes 18 years of my personal and professional experience and puts it into one place where you can easily and quickly learn the foundations of recovering from stress and trauma. How does the food you eat affect your stress levels? How do the relationships in your life create stress or peace? How does the relationship you have with your body allow you to feel happier and more settled? I will cover all this and so much more in this 4-week self-paced course. And the best part, it's self-paced. You don't have to sign up at a certain date or finish it at a certain time. It's yours for life, and it's waiting there for you when you're ready to finish it. Throughout this course, I'll be teaching you philosophies and practices that combine my 3 favorite modalities: somatic experiencing, embodied parts work, and nutrition. For more information on this course, click on the link in my episode details. So when you're taking in pain and then you leave shut down, you're then unable to relate to your life, the people in your life, your own emotions, your own social group that you're a part of, even your most intimate relationships, the people you connect to and live with and rest your head with. You're unable to connect because your body is so frozen. This is how somatic empathy turns into shutdown. This is why I find it so important to have a somatic practice if you're going to be engaging online, on social media, on YouTube, and on any kind of news channel that's going to be broadcasting controversial, powerful, painful images and stories to you. So let me teach you the practice. The practice starts with your 2 hands. You put one hand over your chest and the other hand over your belly, and you give a little bit of pressure. And then you feel your feet on the ground. And it might be helpful to lift one foot up and drop it like a little stomp. Lift the other foot up, drop it. And then look around the room. This is probably the most important part. Take a break from the screen and just look to the left, look to the right, and really track what happens in your body, your face, your throat, your chest, and your belly when you're looking at the screen, and then when you turn. And the screen is to the left of you, to the right of you, or maybe you turn all the way around and the screen's behind you. Try it out with me. Turning to the left. Turning to the right. And turning all the way around. So feel that difference. Feel what softens. Feel what settles. Feel what changes when you look away. This is a practice of interrupting your orientation to the screen. And the best way to do it is to set an alarm for 15 minutes. When you go onto YouTube, when you go onto Instagram, when you go onto your phone, text messages, anything that involves looking at a screen and getting your information through someone else's lens, set the alarm for 15 minutes. When that alarm goes off, you just take 30 seconds, a minute at the most, to look around, to do what I just showed you with your hands, and feel yourself coming back to the room you're in. This will interrupt your body's potential to go into freeze and collapse by being way too overwhelmed with information. Peter Levine, who developed somatic experiencing, the modality of somatic psychology that I'm trained in, had this very simple formula. Fear plus immobility equals trauma. So consider that. When you're watching something that creates fear, anger, grief, overwhelm, and a general charge of energy in your system, and that charge is met with an immobility, with a lack of movement, which tends to happen when we're on the screen, you're going to have a traumatic experience. Your posture is going to feel as if you've been there. Your breathing is going to slow down or get really stunted. You might notice you need to binge eat certain foods to numb out the pain that comes up from watching such footage. And the more you live that way, the more your body's going to be living in a stress response based on other people's experiences rather than a congruent response to your actual environment. And some people have a problem with this. They say, well, that's just completely selfish to ignore the pain in the world. Pendulation is a practice for not ignoring anything, but to meet it with your reality. When I see something painful happening to a child in war times, let's say, and I feel the grief in my gut and I feel the angst in my chest and I feel my body lighting up like I want to jump through the screen and just wrap that child in my arms and protect them, I honor that feeling and then I bring it to where I live. I bring it to my office. And sometimes I write with that feeling. Other times I do videos like this to help people. Sometimes I go outside and I find my daughter, I give her a big hug, I tell her how much I love her. Other times I'll walk into town with that feeling and I'll look at people in the eyes and I'll give them love and I'll give them kindness and I'll connect with them. When I bring the feeling I get from someone else's experience to my own, I have agency to act on the feeling. When I don't bring it back into my reality, I tend to get hooked on the other person's reality. I lose where I am and I lose my agency and I become shut down. And to lose my agency, to not attune to my privilege of safety and find trauma and stress and pain because I'm so oriented to someone else's lack of privilege of safety, let's say, something in that just feels out of balance for me. It doesn't feel fair to the others who don't have a choice, and it doesn't feel fair to me. So try this out, see where it takes you, and please tell me what you notice. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching today's episode. Please like and subscribe if you found it useful, and let me know in the comments what you want me to cover next.